Hey guys, Sean here. Today, Luke and I will be doing a ban list prediction for the August 2024 ban list. Now, we know the ban list is going to come out in August because Konami told us it's going to come out around the end of August. They want to see how the Infinite Forbidden will affect the meta, and I think it's affected the meta a lot because the Fiendsmith engine is absolutely insane. So we're going to talk about what we want to see banned, limited, semi-limited, and unlimited. And we're going to talk about what we want to see. We're going to talk about what we expect and what we want. So let's begin with the bans. So I think that Gimmick Puppet Nightmare or Sanctifier Dragon will get banned. It's been a long time coming. These have been issues for a long time. Every ban list people think they're going to get hit, and they just never get hit. They got hit on Master Duel, which is fantastic, but it's probably time to see them go in the TCG. Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is not even played in Gimmick Puppets, so you can't use that excuse. This card needs to go, or Sanctifier. Most likely Sanctifier, because Sanctifier is the card that enables all the bullshit.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely see one or the other getting hit. I would probably see Gimmick Puppet Nightmare being hit before Sanctifier, just because Konami has a bit of a reputation of hitting cards around the actual problem than the problem itself, much like Hulk and other cards before. So yeah, I definitely see Gimmick Puppet Nightmare getting hit. Gimmick Puppet themselves is a deck that's coming up and is proving itself to be a really good, consistent deck. And they don't even run Nightmare, it's literally just Branded taking advantage of it, so I definitely see Nightmare being hit.
In the same vein, King Calamity is probably going to go. It's just such an easy turn, skip, floodgate. It's just not good for the game. Red Dragon Archfiend decks don't even run it. It's just being able to skip your opponent's turn using Crimson Dragon, summon this guy, your opponent can't do anything. Even with the OCG errata, it changes nothing. It's still insanely broken. Centurion is getting new support, and Centurion is one of the biggest culprits for King Calamity locks at the moment. I think this card needs to go. Sooner than later, honestly, because I think with the new Centurion support, we need this thing gone. Centurion deserve their own identity besides being King Calamity lock turbo.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just even having experience with King Calamity itself in Virtual World and stuff like that, you could just throw it in so many decks. It can be very generic and a very toxic turn skip that we really don't like seeing in the game at all. So King Calamity could probably get hit on the chopping block.
So next up, stuff that we don't necessarily see getting banned, but there's a chance, right? It's up for contention. We have Beatrice. Beatrice is really good in Snake Eyes because of the Fiendsmith engine. You can dump your Snake Eye Ash and just get it back with your Promethean Princess, using the Fiendsmith engine, which you're going to run anyway, which is just insane. Now, Beatrice has been a problem for a little while with cards like Transaction Rollback. You can just send a bunch of really strong traps, send Transaction Rollback, and just use the trap. So in the same vein as King Calamity, you can send the Mayakashi trap, and then send Transaction Rollback, and basically skip your opponent's turn. So it's a card I could definitely see getting banned. It would be a way to hit Fiendsmith without actually hitting Fiendsmith, if you know what I mean. Very sad for all the BA players out there, all 10 of you. But yeah, I think I would not be sad to see it go necessarily. But I think the chances are not 100%.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Beatrice is just really generic and go into so many different decks. You could even play it in tier if you want to as well. And we don't really want to see tier get much stronger than it already is. So yeah, Beatrice can definitely be a contender, but I don't necessarily think we're going to see it on this ban list.
Next up, a lot of people think Apollousa should be hit. I disagree, mainly because a lot of people say, oh, it's so unfair that you can just get out Apollousa before 5 summons, but you can only do that if you summon 4 monsters and then Apollousa for 4 material Apollousa, which is really hard to do. Otherwise, you're going to play into Nibiru, because the only way you can summon Apollousa under 5 summons is if you summon 4 monsters then Apollousa. Most of the time you're going to link climb into it. Of course it's generic, but it's only monster negates as well. Of course it's really good generic card. And of course Konami did reprint it. And when they reprint a broken link, usually they ban it the next ban list. That's just how Konami does it. But I wouldn't like to see it go, but I can definitely see it going.
Yeah, I think people are just really having memories of Barone and Borreload Savage Dragon really fresh in the wounds off of just the last ban list. They just became cheap. It became so accessible and loads of people were playing it because it was so easy to buy, and then they instantly just banned them. So people are kind of thinking now that Apollousa and even Access Code have been reprinted to be really cheap and pretty much anyone can just buy them now. They could just get hit just out of the blue. I don't think it's going to be in this ban list. They were reprinted in Rare Collection 2, which is still fairly recent enough, so, you know, I think there's still time before we see this getting hit.
Now you might be wondering, where is Snake Eye in all this? Now, we believe Snake Eye should be banned. We believe that they should be heavily hit, multiple bans, but Konami's not going to do it that way. But if they were to ban one card, Original Sinful Spoils would be a great one to ban, because it basically makes Snake Eye not splashable in every single fire deck. It also hurts Snake Eye a lot as well, because we have to keep in mind that Diabellstar herself is not going to get hit. Diabellstar is really important for the other kind of Diabellstar lore archetypes like White Woods and stuff like that. So that's not going to get hit. So we want to specifically see Snake Eyes getting hit, and Original Sinful Spoils basically is your starter for your Snake Eye engine, unless you draw Snake Eye Ash and stuff like that. I think this would be one of the best cards to ban, and one of the cards they might actually ban. I don't think they'll ban any like Ash or Poplar or anything like that. I think they have a chance to ban Original Sinful Spoils.
Going on to the limits now, my hard guess for what they're going to hit with Snake Eye is all going to come through limits. I think they're going to limit Snake Eye's Ash, they might limit Flamberge, and I think they're going to hit Bonfire as well by slapping those three with limits. These would really make sense because, again, as you previously said, they're not going to be able to just splash every deck with Snake Eye engine, but this is pretty much the ratio a lot of decks that do splash the engine run at anyways, so they will want to hit Snake Eyes, but they'll be hitting just the pure Snake Eyes anyways without really affecting too many of the other decks. Hitting Ash makes sense because Ash is just really easy to get the combos going, and if you're able to limit it, you can kind of cut it off and neuter it as quickly as you can. Bonfire as well is pretty much a Rhoda for fire decks anyways, so if they're able to limit it much like Rhoda's limited, it will just make sense. And Flamberge, I really think they want to like really stick it to Snake Eyes, so they will hit Flamberge, but that's not really going to matter too much because most decks run Flamberge are 1 anyways.
I think it would be funny if they kind of treated Snake Eye like tier, where they put everything to 1. Let's say like they ban one really strong card, like the way they banned Kiklos, and they put all the remainder to 1. That'd be really funny, but it wouldn't kill the deck the same way it like hit tier. I think Snake Eye would be really strong if everything was still at 1. So I feel like they really do need like some good bans. But I do agree that Konami's probably going to treat it like this. Put Ash, Flamberge, Bonfire, just put all these cards to 1 so you can still play them. But yeah, I'm not sure. I could almost see Flamberge getting banned. I think that would be pretty damn crazy. It would really hit the deck. I can almost see like the image that they post. I can just see Flamberge on it. You know what I mean? I can kind of see it. And you know, Bonfire to 1 would be just, it would make sense. That's how Rotas should be. The problem with the original Rhoda is that it's not hard once per turn, which is hilarious. But Bonfire is a hard once per turn, but 1 copy would still be fair, I'd say. Continuing on, we have some Floodgates. So Skill Drain is seeing play in a lot of side decks. It's just a really damn good card. I don't know who decided to bring it back to 3, but yeah, Skill Drain is probably going back to 1. That's the pattern Konami's been doing with like banning Floodgates. Put them all to 1. Just put them all in the corner, you know? Just play a deck full of 1 of Floodgates. Stun is still a good deck. Stun is always a good deck. Runic Stun in particular. And it's a really good anti-meta deck. Even inside decks, for the top tier meta decks, you're still seeing Skill Drain. So I think probably going to 1. I don't think it's too crazy to think.
Yeah, another card I really want to see hit is definitely Fenrir. I would actually full on call it here. I'm going to say Fenrir is going to get hit. If not this ban list, I want to say in the next ban list. Fenrir has just been going along for too much of an easy ride as of the way it's being played and splashing a bunch of decks. The fact that Fenrir is able to search itself, I think is absolutely crazy. A really bad card design in my opinion as well. I think it's about time Fenrir gets hit to 1. I think it's definitely going to be coming.
Next up, Shifter. Now Shifter is going to be really popular because I feel like if you're not playing tier 0, you're going to play Shifter. Shifter is the only real way you can combat the top decks if you're not playing them. On Master Duel and in the OCG, it's at 2. I feel like they just might put it to 1. I really don't think they should because unless they really hit the top decks, people need a card like Shifter to even the playing field. But I feel like what they might do is put it to 1 and not ban the Snake Eyes and New Bell stuff enough, and then we're just going to be in an awful format. But who knows? Hopefully they don't hit it, or at least maybe put it to 2. I'm not saying Shifter's a healthy card, but I'm saying that if we're in this type of format, we need something. So I think, you know, they might hit it because Konami's cringe. One crazy theory I have is that Kit Kalos is going to come off the ban list. Kit Kalos at 1 would be a lot like Master Duel. In Master Duel, tier is a good deck, but nothing crazy. All the tier cards are getting reprinted in the tins. What better way to get people to buy the tins and all the tier cards than unbanning Kit Kalos? That'd be great. Tier is already very good, I understand that. But compared to all the other decks, I think Kit Kalos coming back would not be too crazy. At least at 1. I don't think it would ruin the game. I think it would put tier as like a very good deck. But overall, I don't think it would make a huge impact on the meta. And finally, Heavy Storm, bring it back to 1, boys. It's back to 1 in OCG, back to 1 in Master Duel. Let's just bring it back to 1 in TCG. Make Ancient Gears the best deck in the game. It's kind of like Harpies, you know, but it destroys everything. And not a lot of decks really benefit from destroying your own spell and trap cards. Like, cool, Pendulums are playable, but they're still not playable because we don't have Electromite back. So it's not a big deal, just bring it back. It really helps against Floodgate decks as well, which is really cool. So yeah, bring it back.
Yeah, I definitely agree. In terms of Heavy Storm, people were more arguing about you can't really bring it back because people would just play a bunch of Floodgates, use them on their opponent's turn, then when it comes back to themselves, they'll be able to activate Heavy Storm and completely wipe the Floodgates that they were using to oppress the game state. But now that Konami's already hitting a bunch of the Floodgates that were the problem cards anyways, they might be able to bring back Heavy Storm and it won't make too much of a difference. Sure, there'll be some decks like Ancient Gears that will be able to take advantage of Heavy Storm, but I don't know. I don't see an awful lot of decks benefiting from Heavy Storm coming back to 1.
Most cards in the game, if they have an effect where they benefit you from being destroyed, it has to be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So Heavy Storm, you can't really like abuse it as much as you would think. Next up onto the semi-limits. We're kind of looking at the OCG here. Tenpai is still a fantastic deck. So in the OCG they put Sanguine Summoning to 2. I think they might give that a try. They could put Sanguine Summoning to 1. I think it's the only real card in Tenpai you can hit. Everything else, it doesn't really make sense to hit them. Maybe putting Pydra to 2. It's very much an OCG type of hit. Or like a Master Duel type of hit. The semi-limited list has really kind of like died off now that they put Malicious to 3. I still think they might put cards to 2. And I think Sanguine Summoning or Pydra might be like some decent hits. It won't affect the deck too much, but it is something they might do because Konami loves their consistency hits. And this is kind of like a want type of thing. I want Gamma to come back, but they're not going to bring it back to 3. So give us it at 2. Let's play a Master Duel, get double Gamma. Gamma to 1 makes it unplayable if you're not playing Dragon Link, and even then you're not going to draw the damn card. But if you have Gamma at 2, you can make the choice to put it in your deck, because it's a very damn strong card, but you're taking the risk of running 2 of it and a Driver, which is a super bad brick. I think they should give this card a chance at 2. I think it's a pretty good compromise because they're not going to unban it.
Now, more for like what I think might come back when in terms of semi-limits, I think they're kind of like making room for Dragon Rulers as well. All the Dragon Rulers came back now, they're all at 1. They're not really doing anything. They're not doing anything outside any other deck except for like some people making fun casual decks within themselves or even as like Dragon Maid and stuff like that. But Dragon Rulers, they're just not what they used to be anymore. The game's like increased its speed times 100 since Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. Much like what they did in the OCG, I think they're going to slowly reintroduce them. Like we already were slowly reintroduced by having them like unlimited 1 at a time per ban list. I think we're at the stage where they're going to semi-limit 1 each per ban list as we go. Maybe the next one that might come to 2 would probably be Blaster. I kind of see that considering it's a fire format as well. They might just like throw Blaster to 2. It would make sense, and then each ban list after that they'll go 1 ruler at a time. So yeah, for semi-limits, well, I'm kind of thinking they're going to be reintroducing Dragon Rulers again.
Now onto the unbans. Now the pretty obvious ones are Armageddon Knight and Pankratops. They should come back. Armageddon Knight is just so old. Like, oh cool, I can normal summon it and mill a dark. But that's not crazy in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! They even brought it back to 2, and I think in Master Duel is coming back to 3. It doesn't make a difference. Pankratops, especially if they hit Fenrir, they can easily bring Pankratops back to 3. Some people are playing it at 2 in side decks, which is cool, and it's a good card, but it's not that good. It's like only okay. There's so many better cards that if you run Pank, you're really running it for like a specific reason. There are so many better cards you can put in your side deck besides Pank. Definitely a really good card. It's way worse than Fenrir though, So you cannot justify having this card at 2 and Fenrir at 3. Either have them both at 3 or I don't know. Another card I want to see is Miscellaneousaurus back to 3 because dinos really need the help. Dinos are cool and all that, but they really need a card like Misk. Why can decks like Tenpai, Gimmick Puppet, Ancient Gears even have like cards that protect them, but dinosaurs are without like 1 copy? I know Misk does more than just protect your monsters, but so does something like Sanguine Summoning. At least bring it back to 2, but on Master Duel, Misk is at 3 and no one cares. Dinosaurs are not even good, so bring it back, Konami, please. Lightning Storm is another card that can just come to 3. Like, having it at 2 makes no sense, like, at all. I don't understand why it's at 2. It does help out decks like Tenpai for board breaking and stuff like that, but does that really matter? I don't know. It's a good card and all that, but at 2 it doesn't really make sense. Most people just run a Harpies and a Lightning Storm as like a playset in itself, so there's no real reason why this cannot be at 3. And Naturia Sacred Tree definitely needs to come back because why was it hit to 1 in the first place? This deck was never even good. Naturia just died. Runic Naturia is just really bad now. They need to bring it back. I don't understand why it's gone.
Going on to stuff that I want to see unbanned, I don't care in what capacity, if they limit them, if they semi-limit them, it really doesn't matter to me. These are just my absolute wish list. I really want to see Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow come back. I was so excited to play Super Heavy Samurai when all that new support came out in terms of Prodigy and everything. I thought the deck looked so cool. I was so ready to play it. I had everything bought, but the ban list killed it before I was able to play it. Scarecrow, yeah, it was very easy for them to kick off 1-card combos, which I know the game doesn't really like too much. However, so many decks already have 1-card combos anyways, that having Super Heavy Samurai have their only 1-card combo in terms of Scarecrow pop off is absolutely fine. I didn't see the whole issue with it. I maybe might have had a different tune if I actually did get to play the format with a lot more Super Heavy Samurai representation. But in terms of what other decks are doing now, I think Scarecrow can come back at least to 1. Another thing I want to see come back is definitely Prank Kids Meow Meow Mew. Honestly, the whole reason this card was banned in the first place wasn't even because of Prank Kids in the first place. Prank Kids did nothing wrong, it was all because of those Adamanticators. Honestly, Meow Meow Mew should definitely come back. It's back in Master Duel anyways, and it's not really doing much there, so I definitely think that if you bring back Meow Meow Mew to at least 1, at least diversitize the deck pool by adding Prank Kids to the mix. And one thing I previously talked about on the channel with the different ways to play Sprite video was Ronin Totem. Ronin Totem only got banned because of sprites. That's literally it, and sprites already lost one of their best cards like 2 ban lists later by losing Sprite Elf. So Ronin Totem has already paid the sins of the sprites. I think Ronin Totem can come back. Honestly, if he comes back, I don't really see him doing much, to be honest with you. He'll just be a really good recovery card if sprites ever do go haywire. And I will say for a fact that if Ronin Totem did come back, I will just be running it a 1 copy in my sprite build. I don't really need it anymore. Frogs aren't really a big deck now, and they won't really be a big deck if you're just playing like the most powerful variant of it, which is Frog Sprite. Ronin Totem can definitely come to 1. That's something I really want to see.
And of course we have to mention Electromite. He's never coming back, but I want him back. He should be back, he's not that good. Pendulums are not good, no pendulum deck is even good in the game. Having Electromite back would just make them like decent. I think it should come back. At least make pendulums like a playable deck. It's not that good, bring it back. Finally, we're just going to end with some cards that just should come off. So Summon Sorceress is getting an errata in the OCG, meaning that it's probably going to come back to 1 in TCG. It would be really cool. It's such a cool card. Like, the errata makes it pretty fair. Some of the stuff from deck, it's going to be pretty damn cool. I feel like a lot of decks will find use for it. The errata really does not make it broken at all anymore, so it's definitely coming back at some point. Maybe not in this ban list, but in the future, this card's coming back. MX Saber Invoker is another card I think could just easily come off. It's legal in Master Duel, it's not doing anything. Cards like these were banned so long ago, and they just will not have the impact anymore that they had before. In the same vein, Zodiac could definitely come back. Maybe not all the Zodiac cards, but cards like Trident and Barrage, even more copies of like Rapier and stuff like that, they could all come back. Maybe we'll keep Rod Bull banned, but most of the other Zodiac cards could easily come off the list. And finally, I'm sure everyone is saying this, but bring back all the dangers and stuff like Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher. They're not that good. Dark Grepher is pretty good, but I don't think he's that broken. This isn't Edison anymore, we don't need him at 1. We can bring him back very easily. Same with the dangers. I think they're slowly going to come back into the game. So that's it for our ban list prediction video. It's very difficult to kind of predict what exactly Konami's going to ban. As we all know, Konami wants to make money, so they're going to ban things that will help sell other products. Game balance is not the main priority. It's the second priority, but it's not the main priority of the ban list. So it's hard to say. I think most of our predictions are realistic enough. And you know, if we get lucky, maybe we'll get some really cool cards back. So thanks for watching, and let us know your predictions for the ban list in the comments.